welcome back to the tanning salon. My name's David. I study here at TAFE and I am the cameraman that usually operates that camera or attachment. And I've got Gary here, and these are your letters.
Thank you, sir. So you're on that camera, you study here,
Yeah.
You've got a good voice.
And I've got a good voice.
You should use this as a demo tape and send it off to the ABC.
There you go, ABC or any other channel. You know what, any other channel.
We don't do advertisements. Thanks, Dave. Bye now. Zachy, where are you? Zachy's been a volunteer here on the show for how long?
Yeah, about 6 years now.
Boy, is he tired. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Take it easy. You're laughing upstairs. We can hear him down here. These are your letters tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, first one tonight, Mark Zuckerberg is storming through 30 American states to drum up support for his tilt at the White House. Should millionaires and billionaires be on the list of people that we should be voting for? The people who've got their finger on the nuclear trigger? Second letter tonight. All of a sudden, not only do they exist, but they've become the greatest concern of the military. Transgender people. We'll see what our panellists have got to say. All beautiful women coming in tonight. And the final letter tonight, how do we define evil? What's evil? If we're to have yardsticks, we need to have definitions. We'll see what the panellists say, how they define evil. All these letters, beautiful panellists coming up right now. Sweet and sour, don't go away.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some chili?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Lovely to have your company. Shush. You want to meet our panellists and I want to introduce them to you straight away. First up, where have you been? Edwina Nattrass, lovely to have you here, darling.
Thanks a lot, Mitch. Thank you.
Where have you been? Have you been travelling again?
No, I haven't been travelling again, but I'm working hard. I'm doing some design and keeping my head down.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You're into design?
Yeah, doing some fun stuff now.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tell us about that a little bit later.
All right, exciting. All right.
Deanna,
Yes.
are we allowed to say that you were
What?
doing voiceovers for who, or do we keep that secret until another time? When's the program coming on?
November.
November.
It's a TV series for SBS. I narrated, which is very
Are we
exciting.
allowed to say the name of it?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. Well, if you're sued in the next week or two.
Yeah, we'll find out.
What's the name of it? What do
Struggle
we
Street.
Struggle Street.
Yeah, they've already done a series, and the second series is supposed to come out in November. We'll see.
And you're the
what
voiceover.
happens, and I am the narrator.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice
You're
to be
always
back.
fun. You still haven't taught me how to dance, Anita.
I haven't actually been dancing lately.
Why not?
It's been a bit cold, but...
Isn't that the time you go dancing now?
Yeah, look, it should
Just
be.
to warm up?
Yeah, it should be. I went the other night and realised how unfit I was and need to just sort of up the energy a little
Okay.
bit.
What are you
But
doing
I've
to
been
keep fit if you're not dancing?
No, I've just been working a lot at the
Okay.
moment. Yeah.
Welcome to life. Welcome to life. That's what happens.
Yep, work.
Yvonne,
Yes.
how are the studies?
Good. Yes, I just had my first week back of this semester.
How long have you been off for?
I had like a month off, I think.
Oh, the life of
Yeah.
a student.
Oh, so good. I went to Malaysia. It was amazing. Oh no, my boyfriend took me for a trip to Malaysia.
Oh, even better when you
Surprise.
don't pay yourself.
It was so good.
That's sensational.
Yeah.
How much longer have you got to study?
A year. I graduate this time next year.
And then it's into the real world.
Oh yeah.
All right, remember, student perspective on the end, all right? Here we go. Dear Mitch and panel, we really made a huge mistake in the Western world, haven't we? The Trump experiment is a disaster. A vulgar billionaire who has a tenuous grip on reality, a scant regard for the truth, an inability to deliver on any of his superficial and paralysing policies should never have been permitted to run as a mainstream presidential candidate. If anything, he should have run as an independent like Ross Perot and Ralph Nader. Do any of you remember Ross Perot? No. Ralph Nader? Okay. And never given access through the Republican primaries, especially because he was a Democrat up until 2 years before he ran for the president the first time. He's never served any political apprenticeship and the whole world is paying for it. Let's face it, A first-year med student would never be permitted to operate on any patient. A first-year law student would never be permitted to attend the bar. A first-year engineer would never be permitted to construct any building, yet this megalomaniac was given the keys to drive the world's most influential nation. Now I hear Mark Zuckerberg is storming through 30 American states to drum up support for his tilt at the White House. What could this man possibly have to offer? He knows nothing. He's simply designed the world's most successful app, Facebook, but has utterly zero real-world experience. Surely the panel agrees that these egotistical billionaires need to be kept far from the nuclear buttons. Brian, just down the road in South Perth, has written to us. Anita, are you confident that Trump won't push the nuclear button?
Oh my God, he's just ruffling feathers left, right and centre. He's the biggest puppet that you could ever ask for, and I just feel sorry. I feel sorry for our children's children, because we're heading in a direction where if this is politics and these are the leaders of such a prominent country like the US, we're in a lot of trouble in the future, and it's just frustrating that.
I grew up in an age, though, where they said, you know, if you've made $1 million, you can do anything. You know, you've got
bad mentality,
you've got
selfish
business
mentality,
experience, so you know you could be able to do it. Well, you need a little bit more.
Definitely not. You need a bit of education, and you need compassion and empathy, and that's one thing that Donald Trump does not have. North Korea don't want war. They're saying, what I read recently was that they will only attack if a US attack. So to solve the problem, US do not attack North Korea. That's it. Problem solved. Done. But no, he wants to.
Maybe. You got
he needs to be shot in the head.
Megalomaniacs running all these countries. It's testosterone that pushes them up. Come on, Yvonne.
Yes.
Would you vote for a Zuckerberg if he was ring? Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Is everybody here on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would that make you vote for a character like him?
The answer is maybe, because while Zuckerberg, again, is one of these billionaires who has probably too much influence and money, he is a reasonably philanthropic, left-leaning person, and me as a young person likes that kind of thing. One thing that I actually find really scary about Mark Zuckerberg running for presidency, though, is the fact that he has access to everyone's information. Yeah. He can have a look at all of this data. He can figure out demographics, know who to appeal to. He could even potentially run ads to campaign for himself on Facebook without us even realising.
Of course, it's his business, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
He can do whatever he likes. How scary is that?
Yeah, and he has so much data and so much access to so many people's information.
Ooh, very scary. All right, who have we got? Eddie? No? Yes, Eddie.
Mitch. Well, we're talking about politics here. I think whenever we're going to talk about politics, there's always going to be a difference of opinions, which are going to lead to an argument.
Are you telling me you like Trump?
Well, I'm not going to answer that question. What I will say, though, is, I mean, look at America. They love the celebrity status. They've had Ronald Reagan in there, the 40th president. They've had Arnie Schwarzenegger, mayor of California.
Who did a reasonable job.
They get behind it, but I think we need a general consensus. People don't want to go to war, and I think when you do have an individual in power, it's not right for one person to make a decision on whether the country is going to go to war. It should be down to a general consensus.
Before we go to Deanna, we're going to go to our Your Say, which is Your Say. We canvassed our online community and asked them this question. Given the Trump experience, do you think billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg are a good choice for US president? And here's the results. There you go. 20% said yes. 80% said no. Deanna, does that reflect your mindset as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Look, the thing that concerns me the most is our position politically is tied very, very closely to America's position politically. You know, like our Prime Minister has already said he'll follow the US into war if it happens. And that to me seems like a completely outrageous thing to do when there's not even any specific real threat occurring at the moment. As you said, North Korea have said they don't want war. They're not going to go down that path. And here's Donald Trump sending out tweets, being juvenile and aggravating the circumstances. It's outrageous.
It is outrageous. It's bizarre. So many nutters on the planet
Totally.
who are in positions
everywhere.
of power. And it's our fault.
For letting them get there in the...
It's our fault. I say collectively, even though we don't vote in North Korea, nobody does, and we don't vote in the United States. we're all people. And all of us can be seduced by celebrity and all that sort of thing. We have to be far more mindful than what we are. When we come back, we're going to be talking about transgender people in the military. Don't go away. More of Sweet and Sour. See you soon.
Getting in touch with Sweet and Sour is easy. Just head to sweetandsour.net.au to send us a letter. And while you're there, why not check out our past episodes? Plus, don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And for a behind-the-scenes look at Sweet and Sour, check us out on Instagram.
I'm just checking out what the movie is tonight, and it's Hampstead apparently, and we're going to send all of our letter writers to the movies to see Hampstead, courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. Thank you, Nat, who's going to join us fairly shortly on a future episode, and here we go. This one's titled Not on Your Life, Dear Sweet and Sour Guests. That's you, ladies.
Yeah.
I'm now in my 70s, and I'm retired after I spent my entire career serving in the Australian Army. I was stationed in many places around the world to where I happily relocated my growing family. I served in Vietnam. In all the more than 40 years I served my nation, I never once encountered any of these transgender people. They just didn't exist. All of a sudden, not only do they exist, they've become the greatest concern of the military. The President of the United States has just decreed that these people be completely excluded from entering any branch of the military services. What an uproar. What an ignorant uproar. Surely, it's an easy conclusion to see that discipline and focus is the main requirement for any individual or team committed to serving in the Defence Forces. There is no room for these types of obviously very self-indulgent, self-focused people. I cannot understand how some of the well-meaning, left-leaning thinkers believe these people have a place in military operations. It's a disgrace. I support our Australian government following the US example and excluding transgender people from all military service. Name withheld of Pesco Vale in Victoria. Straight to Deanna. Do you concur with this gentleman from
I have so many
Pesco
issues
Vale?
with this letter, it's not even funny. So I'm just going to pick one and I'm going to run with it, okay? I'll tell you what's a disgrace. What's a disgrace is making gross generalised statements about a group of people that you didn't even know existed until very recently. Here's another gross generalisation for you. Everyone over the age of 65 should have the driver's licence revoked. I think they're terrible on the road. They get in my way. They should go.
Very true.
I just think it's,
Have you heard of Kate McGregor?
No.
Kate McGregor is a transgender lady who has served our military so well she was awarded an AM.
Yeah.
She is
There you go.
exceptional. She gives advice to the Prime Minister. She gives advice to all branches of the services. They have her regularly as a commentator on things military that are happening. And she's very much transgender and incredibly talented.
I just don't think it makes any difference whatsoever.
Eddie, your turn.
Absolutely, makes no difference whatsoever. If these men, women are going to go and put themselves on the line, risk their lives for our country, I don't care who's fighting for us. They're doing it for our team, they're doing it for us, and I don't think there should be any prejudice about it. And name withheld for Pasco Vale, stand up to your words. Who are you? Come forward, tell us, we want to know.
Name withheld. Yeah, we don't withhold too many names, but sometimes when they ask us to, we do. I did have a look at this online. I found that most of the comments that are negative about transgender in the USA is because the medical expenses for transgender operations are skyrocketing, and a lot of people are joining the military services simply to get the operation paid for by the military. Now that's a different issue. Yeah. There's between, and they've got no statistics, anywhere between
so
almost 3,000 and 10,000 people who are signing up to, the government is saying it's 15,000.
That can't be right though. Surely you wouldn't consider putting your life on the line to have that kind of thing done, you know, and paid for by the government.
I don't know.
Like I get that it's an important thing for people to do.
Maybe not all of them are on the front line.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
right. There's not a lot of people on the front line. Anita? No, it's probably Yvonne, you're right. All right, sorry, God, I can't read my sheets tonight. I'm getting old.
ready.
I'm going to have to go and see Olga for some glasses. Come on, Yvonne.
Okay, I've got 2 points here that I want to talk about. First of all, you say for the 40 years you served previously, they just didn't exist. They definitely existed. It's just become more socially acceptable now to come out. So all of these people, I have no doubt that there were plenty of transgender people then as well.
They just didn't have a voice.
They just didn't have a voice, precisely, and it wasn't socially acceptable
Yeah, I've
for
seen
them
documentaries.
of
People cross-dressing and, you know.
This guy just didn't know they were there.
Exactly. The second point that I want to make is that you say that discipline and focus is the main requirement. How is being transgender going to affect discipline and focus? That doesn't make any sense to me. You can be transgender, still wear a uniform, still rock up to drill duty on time. So, you still have to do the same number of push-ups and sit-ups and chin-ups that every single other military personnel needs to do. It's regardless of what they feel their gender is, that has nothing to do with discipline and focus.
If you can't cut it, you can't cut it. So
Yeah,
if
precisely.
you get through, it
Men
means
and
you're
women,
good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Last word, Anita?
Yep, I think the military even said themselves that they can't be prejudiced against who decides to come forward to serve their country. If they can pass the medicals, the physicals, the requirements to actually get through, then everyone has the right to actually get through, whether you're male, female, transgender, whatever.
We asked you online, and this is what you answered to this question. Should transgender people be excluded from the armed forces? Your answers were these.
Yeah.
11% said yes, 89% said no. When we come back, we're going to be talking about evil and what is evil. Don't go away, we'll see what the ladies think evil might be.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
When life gives you lemons, make sweet and sour sauce, because there's no lemons in it.
It's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Sausage.
And that's where it stays, the individual. We're talking about drug use. But we have a different topic coming into us from Natalie of McGill in South Australia. Hi, Sweet and Sour. My uncle is an evil man. He's that horrible relative that nobody wants to have, the one that wants everything for himself at the expense of everything and everyone. He's merciless. He sued his own mum and dad, oh, that's terrible, and then all of his siblings just so he could fund his selfish greed. He's utterly evil, having perpetrated so much hurt on his own family. It's got me to thinking that I now believe evil is about primitive, self-obsessed consumption, and the opposite, good or goodness, is about selfishness. Selflessness. I'm glad someone's paying attention. I apply it everywhere now, and it's become so easy to see good and evil at play. All good for you. The moment it becomes about excessive selfish consumption, it becomes evil. The moment it becomes anything like ego-driven winning, it's the same. But is that enough to define evil? Does it go any further? Is my understanding correct, or have I completely missed the real meaning of evil and goodness here? I'd like to hear the various opinions of the panellists. Please, as we said, Natalie of McGill. Yvonne, what's evil to you?
It's a really loaded question, because I think for me personally, the best description I can say for evil is somebody being so selfish to the point that it detriments other people, and I'm so stealing the words right out of your mouth that you said earlier. But I have been thinking about this letter. Doing harm to others. So willingly knowing that what you are doing is to the detriment of others, so hurting others. But I've been thinking about this letter a lot today, and I think, I don't know, it's also morals. To me, I think that being immoral is evil, but it really depends on your interpretation of morals. And I was thinking something like a really good example would be in Christianity. A certain number of Christians have selected a certain part of the Bible to say, abortion is wrong. And for some people, abortion is evil, and then for other people, people who are picketing and protesting abortions are evil. So it really depends on your own interpretation.
Of what is harm? Yeah, that's a good one, because that actually fits in there. Who are you doing harm to when you have an abortion?
Exactly.
Anita?
Hard question.
Well, isn't that funny? You've got to actually define it, otherwise you have no moral compass. You must define what evil is, and you must define what good is. You have no moral compass if you don't. That's a responsibility for all of us.
I think it's on the overall when you're doing more harm than good in your life in all aspects, whether it's to other people or to yourself, then you're an evil person.
So don't
if
do
your
harm to yourself as well. That extends the definition.
Exactly.
You can't do harm to yourself as well.
I think if you're putting on us that we're not perfect, and I think if we try to apply things like compassion, understanding, patience, you know, those sort of things to everyday lives and to ourselves, self-love. A lot of people don't love themselves and therefore they hate society, and it's that negativity. It's carrying that negativity with you that leads to a dark place, and that's evil. I think it's trying to be a better person, because we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes in our lives, but trying to see the good in everything and do good by everyone else as well as yourself.
We asked you people, our online community, this question: do you believe you know what evil is? Well, here's the result. 70% of you said, yep, we know. 30% said no. Oh, it's pretty conclusive. So do we live in a good society with 70% of our people saying they know what evil is?
But you can know what evil is
And not be evil.
Yeah.
And not be good.
And I think that's kind of the point. I think you mentioned this before, that it's important to have a moral compass. It's important to know where the line is for you personally, so that you know where you stand on that line. Saying, yes, I know what evil is, just means that you have an understanding of your own position in relation to what is good and what is bad. Personally, I don't really like the word evil. It sounds a little bit too God, devil, heaven, hell kind of stuff for me. And it's a really situation by situation kind of thing, you know? Yeah, evil sounds like witch, vampire, you know. It's all a little bit
really black and white, like evil is bad.
Absolutely.
You know, there's no such thing as moral absolutism. You can do good things and be a bad person.
And you can be a good person and do some pretty bad things, depending on the circumstances that you're in at the time. And it's only afterwards that you look at it and you go, well, these are the set of circumstances that led me down that path. And upon reflection, those were some bad decisions. I hurt a lot of people following that path. But that doesn't make me a bad person.
Eddie, come in.
Yeah, intent of your actions. I think if you're harming someone else, definitely that's their evil actions. Or I do think that evil is a very powerful word, and actions to one another. Evil, killing somebody, I would call that evil.
I said this to you before. What if it was a mistake?
Yeah, if it was a mistake, then that wasn't the intent behind it. So the actions weren't evil. The way it happened could be evil if it happened in a bad situation. But yeah, so I think it comes down to the levels of the morals that people hold between themselves, within themselves, and
Intent.
I think so.
Do we like this letter to give away the pair of limited edition sunnies, courtesy of my good mate Alon Treves and Aussie Opticals? Yes, no?
I like this one.
I think it's
we
a
can't
winner.
give them to two. There's no
Yeah,
name.
the second
Philosophical
guy,
question.
he was all like,
you didn't like letter 2?
name withheld.
Yvonne? Anita? You didn't like letter 2? You did like... No?
I mean, I thought it was an interesting discussion, but it doesn't sound like a particularly nice man. So we don't want to...
Evil, maybe?
Yeah, potentially.
Evil man.
Depends on what your morals are.
Narrow-minded.
Narrow-minded, so we like Natalie of McGill in South Australia, yes?
Let's go now.
Coming out to... How much was that going to cost us? Jeepers, a community broadcaster. All right, no problem. All right. We've got to go, ladies. Terrific to have you all here.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Mitch.
I want you all to come back fairly soon.
All right.
Is that a deal?
Another girls' panel.
Sure. Another girls' night.
Yeah.
I love the girls' night. We got to go. Thank all of our panellists. Thank our terrific crew. And thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Wave, everybody. We've got to say goodnight now. Bye.
See you guys.
Now, about this evil.
Where are the daggers?